I want to talk a little bit about what's being done in regards to voter fraud here in North Carolina, because I know that this sort of thing is duplicated throughout the country, and it is seriously a travesty. You see, North Carolina people have been fighting for some time to get fair and legitimate elections. Originally, the Republican legislature, a few years back, decided to pass a bill that required that people show their driver's license or state ID, whichever one they had, in order to vote. Right? Well, it wasn't supposed to be a big deal, but the leftists, they appealed, and they said that it was a violation of the North Carolina Constitution, which it wasn't. But what they wanted to happen was for it to go to the North Carolina Supreme Court, because we have leftist judges on the North Carolina Supreme Court. So naturally, it went to that Supreme Court, and the North Carolina justices voted it down, said it was a violation of the North Carolina Constitution, which again, it wasn't. They were legislating from the bench. That's what the other side does. And so then, what the people who actually wanted free and fair elections decided to do was to get a constitutional amendment. Like, if you're going to claim that voter ID is in violation of the North Carolina Constitution, fine. We'll add a constitutional amendment that says, that voter ID is required, and therefore it can't be a violation of the Constitution because it's literally in the Constitution for the first time. All right? That happened. It was placed up for a vote, a referendum by the people. The people of North Carolina voted, and it was during the last midterms, right? They voted, and they voted to make it a constitutional amendment. The people voted in favor. The North Carolina citizens, I'm sure despite the illegals voting against it, so it became law, it became North Carolina Constitution. And a subsequent bill to enforce the voter ID and to make rules regarding it, what was an appropriate ID, was put into place. And it allowed both a driver's license and a state ID, and even provided a free ID to people who were too incredibly poor and had somehow gone through life without ever having any form of ID. Like, they don't drive and haven't ever bought alcohol or tobacco or anything else, and they don't have the $5 for an ID. Fine, you can have a free ID. They even did that. Leftists sued again. Again. This time in a federal court. And Loretta Biggs, this woman, a federal district court judge appointed by Barack Obama, said that we can't have that law. I couldn't even make it up. This judge voted against a constitutional amendment that says we can have voter ID. She said that North Carolina has a history of discrimination, and therefore the law has discriminatory intent. That's what this... What is it with the women judges, by the way? Have you noticed? Like, whenever I'm reporting on some, judge who thinks that she is all-powerful, who thinks that she can override the will of the people, the Constitution of the state, and the Constitution of the United States, if you think about it, because the Bill of Rights provides the ability for the states to govern themselves. This woman, like so many women judges, seems to think that she has unlimited power, godlike power even, and she put on hold the voter ID because of discriminatory intent. Like, how can you ascertain intent? Not to mention that it wasn't all white people that voted for voter ID. It wasn't. We had black people who wanted voter ID because, believe it or not, some black people want free and fair elections too. I mean, if you care about minorities or black people, having illegal aliens vote dilutes the black vote just as it dilutes the white vote. But, the Democrats no longer seem to be appealing to the black vote anymore. They're more interested in the illegal vote because the black people are waking up and realizing that the Democrats are basically responsible for so much in relation to the destruction of the inner cities. And yeah, my accent is England mixed with North Carolina. Okay. This case just kind of, it just frustrates me to no end that this woman could, look at this, NC voter ID law written with discriminatory intent, says judge who just blocked it. It was just months ago that we had, papers come around that were delivered at taxpayer expense saying, you're going to have to go ahead and get an ID if you don't already have one, warning people, giving them the information, saying, you know, this is how you get one for free, making sure that everyone had that option. Loretta Biggs, she voted against the people. And so now, for the next, at least for the primaries, we won't have voter ID in North Carolina. And by the way, a driver's license counted as voter ID, because in North Carolina, you can't be an illegal immigrant and vote. Or an illegal alien, rather. So, you know, that's all you needed was a driver's license. Something that the vast majority of people have, or a state ID if not. You know, because in other states, they've got, you know, illegal aliens driving, so they have driver's licenses too. So then you can't even use the driver's license as a voter ID anymore. At least not a good one, because the illegals have them too. It's unreal. And by the way, voter ID is an important thing. Just in case I said that wrong. Yeah, illegals can't have driver's licenses here in North Carolina. Okay. In North Carolina, though, we have a history of voter fraud. Project Veritas, headed by James O'Keefe, has done videos and released them exposing voter fraud in North Carolina, where actual election officials were involved in encouraging the fraud. Actual election officials were there, essentially conspiring to make sure that Democrats won the election. James O'Keefe of Project Veritas provided that undercover video. We know we have a voter ID problem. We know that some of these people are actually coaching. I mean, those election officials were actually coaching these people on how to commit voter fraud. And here we have this woman who's like, well, discriminatory intent. Like, are you kidding me? It's incredibly just audacious, really it is. Okay, alright, let's move on. Let me just take a quick look at what you were saying. Raymond Knight on DLive says, Cole was a limo driver for years and I'm good with accents. Yours is very unique and I couldn't place it. Yeah, I get asked about it all the time. But yeah, it's that mixture of Northern England with Southern United States. And some people think, I actually get a lot of people who think that it's either Australia or Canada or something, which is kind of interesting because those are, you know, former British colonies. And, you know, I always think it was neat anyway. Okay. Let's see. George Lopez says, voter fraud disguised as minorities are too stupid to get a voter ID. Yeah, actually, it's an important point. Is that you have all these Democrats who are like, well, it's discriminatory against black people because black people are too stupid and inferior to get an ID? Like, you think this woman has an ID? I'm pretty sure she has an ID. You know, despite her black skin. There weren't people there at the DMV saying, you can't get one. You know, nor was she unable to find her way to the DMV. I'm pretty sure she could figure it out. You know, it's like, what are you trying to say by saying that this free ID is, you know, somehow discriminatory? How is that not like the most racial or racist argument ever, you know, for someone to make? But they make it all the time. And every black person I brought this up with looks at me as if, like, this is incredibly offensive, the entire idea that you can't have voter ID because it would stop black people. I've talked to black people about this, and everyone is like, what are you trying to say? You know, and it's like, well, you know, that's the Democrat argument at the moment. Don't leave yet. Remember to like and share the video. And if you want to be reliably notified of new videos, sign up for my newsletter. Also, if you'd like to support the production of these videos, I'd appreciate it if you supported me over at Subscribestar, or you can buy one of our Healthwise Healthier products, or you can even get yourself some merch.